Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Back to School Conference with ShakeUpLearning.com. And I'm so excited that you have joined me for this session. And we're going to talk a little bit about our Google Drive and organization and all of those fun topics that many of us, I bet, try to avoid. So stay with me, and we're going to get some tips and tricks about organizing your Google Drive, because maybe it looks like a rat's nest. So let me help you figure out how to straighten that out. So I am Susan Vincentz, and I am a proud member of the Shake Up Learning team. I'm so excited to get to present several sessions to you guys here at this conference. In my day-to-day role, I serve as a technology integration specialist at a K-12 private school system here in the Louisville, Kentucky area, and we also have a campus over in southern Indiana. So I travel, work with teachers, train them how to use technology in their classroom, and I've been doing that for over 15 years, and my passion is to help teachers work efficiently and productively, and you can kind of see all of my certifications there. I serve as the Shake Up Learning Community Manager over on Facebook, and you can also hear me out in the podcast world as the co-host of the Ask the Tech Coach podcast. So take a look at this picture. Now, this is obviously a picture of a Windows desktop screen, but if you look at some people's Google Drives, or maybe your own Google Drive, does it look like a rat's nest? Do you ever see those pictures, or in real life, network racks and all of the wires and cables are just everywhere? I use the term rat's nest for that. And does it take you longer sometimes to find the file that you need? And then that's cutting into the attention span of your students or the attention span of whoever you might be presenting to. So, let's ask the question, is organization really possible with your Google Drive files? Well, hopefully we'll talk about that as we move along with this session. And yes, you can search, and we'll talk more about that, but we want to be organized in some cases too. So, let's think about saving time. Is it really possible? Take a look at this fun video, and then we'll discuss.
Internet and ubiquitous connectivity.
But as we rolled out in Kansas City, and then in Provo, and then again in Austin, we realized that there was something that we had overlooked. People didn't have enough time to do the little things in life.
We hear you. You want a chance to grab a snack, to text your mom, to run to the restroom. So today, we are excited to announce dial-up mode, a way for our users to get their time back.
We looked to dial-up and T1 for inspiration, and we found a solution of all places in meditation.
Once we got to the root of the problem, it was easy. By incorporating dial-up technology into the fiber, we were able to slow the process down by 376 times, giving you more time to load the dishwasher or hug your kids.
Turns out power in slowness.
Switching to dial-up mode is easy. Just select dial-up mode at the top right corner of your browser. Once selected, close your eyes and relax to the soothing sounds of a 56K modem.
Dial-up mode has really been. I video conference for work, and last time my boss asked me a question, I got off. Now when faced with a tough question, turn on dial-up mode. My face gets all pixelated, my voice goes in and out, and they just reschedule the meeting.
I love dial-up. Before dial-up, everyone was glued to their devices. Now we can have family time again. I call it dial-up and hug. I've never felt more love.
When traveling with our trusted testers in Kansas City, we noticed 3 times more calls to grandma, 10 times more hugs, and 15 times the amount of popcorn consumed per household.
We are encouraged.
We're excited to see what you do. So what are you waiting for? Dial up and hug.
All right, so that was just a fun video about, ways to save time, and there really isn't a dial-up mode, but it's fun to think about ways that we can save time when we're on the screen. And one of those ways could be through some organization of your Google Drive. So I'm going to venture out to say, yes, it really is possible to get your Google Drive organized. And I'm going to share with you a few tips and tricks today throughout this session that will hopefully help you along the way and help your students along the way, whether you're face-to-face teaching them or whether they're virtual or both, or we go virtual at some point. They will be ready and have that Google Drive organized and ready to go to make their life more efficient. And again, that's what I referred to earlier. Efficiency and productivity are one of my huge passions in helping teachers and students achieve. So let's move on. And first of all, let's talk about that elephant in the room that everyone seems to want to organize, but I need to tell you to stay away from it. So the shared with me folder, do not organize it. Do not touch it. Because if you do, it can ruin things for someone else with whom you're collaborating. So think of that shared with me as not a folder. It's not where things are stored. It's just a filter. So when I share something with my coworker and she brings it up, that's just a filter. That's not storing it somewhere, because when something is shared with me by that coworker and they share it with me, I need to go to that shared with me area and I need to place it where I want it, if I want it somewhere. So spend as little time in that shared with me area as possible. And what I'm going to encourage you to do is add those shared items to your My Drive, to your drive. Put them where you want them right away. And if you're not going to use them again, then just leave them there. If it's something quickly that they have shared with you and you need to look at quickly, don't worry about doing anything with it. You don't need to delete it. Just leave shared with me alone. Avoid going there if you can. So let's look at our next slide, and we're going to talk about adding to the drive from the shared with me folder. So let's look at an example I have over here. So over here, and when I click on my shared with me folder, I have this example document. So I'm going to open this example document that someone has shared with me. And then if I look over here at the very top left-hand corner near the title, I see this Google Drive icon with a plus sign. And notice it says Add Shortcut to Drive. Now notice also when I click on this that it's also going to give me a chance to organize it. So if I click here, it's going to add it to Drive, but then I can also click through here and choose where I want to put it. So if I want to put this in my presentations folder, I have the opportunity to do that. Gmail information, whatever folder I want it in, I have a way to do that. So I'm going to X out and cancel this for just a moment and quickly demonstrate again. Look for the Google Drive icon at the top with the plus sign, and if you hover, it'll give you a little description of what that button will do. Click on it. It's adding it to Drive, or you can organize it. So I'm going to just simply click Add Shortcut. So now that shortcut has been added to my drive. So now if I go back to my drive, here is my example document. And you know it's going to be a shortcut or something that you have brought over from the shared with me area by that little curvy arrow that's on the bottom left. So that is a shared item. So now it's here in my drive, and I can still put it in whatever folder I want if I choose to later, but I don't have to keep going to this shared with me area, and then I don't have to see all that cluttered of everything. I can just simply put it in my drive or organize it into the folder that I want to have it in and be able to quickly find it that way and don't ever have to go back to shared with me. One nice thing about shared with me is a lot of times you'll get an email notification that it's shared with you, so you may not even have to go there at all. So you can just open it from the email notification, hit the add to drive icon, and move on from there. So just avoid shared with me. Stay away from it. I repeat, stay away from shared with me. All right. Now, one of the most basic ways, this may seem very simple, but creating a folder system is huge to keeping your Google Drive organized in a logical manner. So let's look back over here. So I have folders here in my Google Drive, but having a organized folder system is huge. So think about your approach to organizing, and this will differ with you. It'll differ between me, what you teach, how you present your lessons. Just think of a way that is easy for you to remember and stick with and not veer away from. Make it work for you. So to create a folder, I can come up here to the New button in the top left and create a folder this way. So maybe I am going to have math lessons 2021, 2022. And I'm going to create that folder. So now I have this folder right here ready for my math lessons for 2021, 2022. Now if I click in that folder, nothing is there obviously. And I can create new folders inside of there. So I can have what we call subfolders. And again, I can go to the New button and create a new folder, or I can use my mouse or my touchpad to right click and choose a new folder this way. So I might do Unit 1, Equations, and hit create. And all of the materials for that unit are going to go in here. So now I can use my little breadcrumb trail up here to navigate to my drive. Or I can always click on my left-hand menu over here. So now I have what we call the parent folder, and inside of there we have the subfolders. And keep in mind, another place I can click is up here on the logo, and it'll take you back to your regular drive. I can expand this little arrow out, and it'll also give me my folder structure over there. So if I need to take my example doc and I need to place it in that Unit 1 Equations folder, I'm simply just going to drag and drop it in there. So now if I come over here and click on my folder, click on my subfolder, there's my example doc all ready to go. So they can create inside of the main folders. And then notice how I just took my mouse and did a drag and drop action to do that. I can also move files by just simply right-clicking and do the Move To button. And when I click the Move To, I can navigate with the arrows to go back to where I want that to be. Okay, so that is creating folders and subfolders. Like I said, that seems like a simple task, but it's huge to keeping yourself organized. Just like you use your filing cabinet in your classroom, and you probably have some type of filing system for all those themes and topics of content that you have presented year after year after year, seasonal, what have you, you have some kind of filing system. Do that to your Google Drive. Okay, so the next one, we're continuing with folders, and having that complex folder system is better with visualization. So, think about that folder system that you might have in your filing cabinet, and many of you may use a color-coded filing system or some kind of way to differentiate those folders so that okay, this is math, this is reading, or this is spring, this is fall, this is winter, Christmas, Halloween, what have you. You have things probably color-coded in some form or fashion. And if you're anything like me, you like your Flair pens and love color-coding things. So here in my folder structure, in my Google Drive, I can simply right-click on a folder. So right now I'm taking my mouse and I'm doing a right-click action. And notice down here I can have a change color option. So I can make that folder any color I want. So if I want everything to do with math in 2021, 2022 to be orange, I'm just simply going to pick that color. And again, I can right-click, change the color, and I can change it to any of these colors back and forth to whatever I want it to be. And I can continue doing that for each folder in my Google Drive as I go. So color coding allows you to categorize by whatever system works for you. File, topic, class, period, time frame, what have you. And then thinking about naming folders. Sometimes just the name makes it hard to find things, especially when you get a large screen full of several folders with lots and lots of files in them. So for me, one thing I like to do is put symbols on my folders, especially if there are folders that I want to bring to the top. So if this math lesson folder, I want it to be at the top instead of alphabetical, I want to do something different to name that folder. So let's look here at the copy paste character site. So I'm going to click on this link and it will be available in the session notes and on the slide. So you'll have access to that among other easy websites for you to get characters to add to the names of your folders. So the directions are right here. So let's go visit this site. This is copypastecharacter.com. And you have numbers. A lot of people use a number and they add it to the beginning of their folder name to keep things in order. What have you. You've got several symbols down through here. I can even search by all characters. I can search by emojis. So, let's say we are doing writing class here. Or we're doing math class. So let's choose this one for our math folder. It has numbers on it, so I'm just going to simply highlight it just like I was going to copy and paste it. And I can either right-click and copy, or I can use my Control or Command-C, depending upon the device you're using. So then I'm going to come back over to my Google Drive, and here is my math lessons folder. So I'm simply going to take that and I'm going to right-click on it, choose Rename, and at the beginning of that folder name, I'm going to either right-click and paste or use Control or Command-V, and that symbol from the copy paste character site will go right on here in my folder name. And I'm going to hit OK. And then typically, that will move the folder to the beginning of the assortment. So usually symbols, anything with a symbol or a character on it that you have used to rename the folder, those are always going to go to the top, and then it will kind of sort them out in some type of order or fashion that way. Then it will go back to alphabetically listing your folders. So I visited the copy paste character site, highlighted to copy it, came back over to my folder, right click to rename, and paste that character on the folder. So that's the copy paste character site. And then, as I said, we'll have some other sites along with this one down in the session notes and here on the slides for you to access for your trial run. All right, so now there might be those times when you need to save files in more than one location just to be able to find stuff in different things. So, maybe you're in a PLC data meeting and you need access to this student's, but then you may need that student's documentation over here in your math class folder for the same reason. So there is a combination here where you can take a file and move it to two different locations. So let's look at an example of that. So remember our document from earlier? Remember we placed it here in the Unit 1 folder that we made? So I'm going to click on my file here. And then we're going to click Shift and the letter Z. Okay, so here is another file, and I'm going to hit Shift and the letter Z, and it cannot be a shared file. So if I click on Shift and the letter Z, it's going to give me some choices. So not only is it going to keep this document here in the presentations folder, if I click here and navigate, maybe I want it also to appear in that new math folder that I created. And I want it back in that Unit 1 folder. I'm going to add shortcuts. So remember how we went through our Shared With Me area a while ago, and we added a shortcut to that file out to our drive. Then we ended up moving that file to another folder. So now let's look. So in my Math Lessons folder, I should now have that Coaching to Greatness, and I know it's a shortcut because of the arrow here. But then I can also go back to my drive under Presentations, and there's my Coaching to Greatness document right there in both places. So what you have to do is go to a folder. It needs to be, or excuse me, a file. It needs to be an original file. You're going to click on it, and it'll turn it into a little blue border around it. And you're going to hold down the Shift key and the letter Z at the same time. Navigate to whatever folder you want to place it in. And now the file is going to appear in both places. And it can be edited from either location. Because remember, from that original file, wherever it is, you're only creating a shortcut to it in the other place. Remember, Google Drive is on the internet. So you're creating these little shortcuts to get back to the original. So yes, they're appearing in both places, but you have not made a copy of it. You have only created a shortcut, and you're allowed to then edit it from both locations. So saving files in multiple locations. All right. Now we have the ability to sort our files to locate things efficiently. So if we come back to our drive, we have the ability to sort. So you may notice over here in the top left-hand corner of your drive, above all of your files and all of your folders, usually it has the default to the word name right here. Now notice what happens if I click the word name right now. I get several things. I can sort my files either by name, which will put it in alphabetical order, or if a symbol is there, it will order that first. I can also sort by last modified. So notice what happens if I click last modified. So the last time I had a folder modified was in this training team folder. Or I can choose last modified by me. Okay, it's going to put them in that order. Or last opened by me, and then it's going to put it in that order. I tend to stick with name, and then you can use your arrow to put it in ascending or descending order according to which works best for you. So I tend to, again, stick with name, put it in alphabetical order or reverse alphabetical order, whichever works best for you. So that is sorting your files to locate them more efficiently. Then you have viewing options. So this is to make folders and files easier to locate, where you can switch the viewing options however they appear. So you may notice at the top of your drive, you have what looks like a little list view symbol. It looks like a bulleted list in a piece of paper. So right now, it's asking me, do I want to change to list view? So I'm going to do that. When I click here, it's just going to show all of my folders still in the same order that I was showing you, or I can go back to grid view. So list view and grid view. Personally, I'm a huge grid view fan. That's what I usually tend to keep it in, is this look right here. That way I can visually see the little visuals, the little tiles of each of my folders. But then I also, if I go to list view, I can see a little bit more information about what's in my folders. So here it shows that this folder was last modified at this time, or I can click and continue clicking, and then I can see the folder information or the file information that's inside of that folder. So those are the viewing options. And then we have our searching options. So, remember, this is Google, and what is Google? Google's a search engine. So there's the search feature right on top, and I know many of you probably at the beginning was like, why should I organize my Google Drive? I can search for whatever I want. yeah, you can search for whatever you want, and and we're going to look at that right now, but it is still so important to have some semblance of organization, hopefully just to ease your mind a little bit. So, and you can search by various things. You can search by file name, keyword, individuals that are sharing it. You can choose to narrow it by file type and what have you. So if you have a full Google Drive, I know my work account, my school account that I use for my day-to-day job, it is full, so I can take and search whatever I want. So remember the file that we were dealing with earlier was called example. So if I choose up here and I type the word example, notice what happens. I can keep trying to find it, and it's going to find whatever document might be named that. I can also search by people who have worked on the document. So here's some members of the Shake Up Learning team as we have collaborated on various things. Or I can search by different file types. What I enjoy most here is the advanced search. So I can narrow it to be anything I want. Or if you really do have a full Google Drive and you know that you had this file, you have no idea what the name was. So you can't just come up here and search it by name because you don't have any idea what the name was. But I can use my advanced search, which I can click here, or I can click on the filtering symbol, and I can search by type, or I can say, oh, I know it was a slide, and I know the owner was a specific person, or I know I created it. So if I say it's a specific person, maybe I put in a name. And I know Sarah shared this presentation with me. And I know the location could be various places. So I'm just going to leave it say anywhere. And then I can just keep narrowing it as I move along. So that's huge. So if I hit search now, it's going to find, oh, look, there's our Coaching Teachers to Greatness session that Sarah created the slides for. I couldn't remember the name, but I was able to come up here and search because I knew it was a presentation and I knew that Sarah created it. So I have the ability to do that. So now if I reset, I can continue, and notice you have all these types of files that you can search for. Pretty much any type of file that you would place inside of a Google Drive to help you along. So photos, PDFs, drawings, zip files, Google Sites, if it's a certain Google site that you have worked on and you just absolutely can't remember the name, this advanced search can definitely be your friend. So then we make our way over to the star tool. So many of you are familiar with bookmarks in Google Chrome, or in the older days when you used other browsers to browse the internet and search the internet. We've been doing bookmarks for years, and there's so many bookmarking sites out there and what have you. Well, Google Drive has its own, and it's called the Star Tool. So, and you can do this a couple of different ways and narrow things down that way. So the Star Tool is for those items that you are going to use often. So if I click down here under starred, right now I don't have anything under starred. So say it's an agenda template that you're going to use for a PLC meeting over and over and over. You might want to keep that template in your starred files. Or if it's just an information sheet full of contact information for various teachers or administrators, my coworkers and I do this a lot, and we keep that in our starred folder so we can have quick and easy access to get to it. Or another huge way to use this, especially if you're at a face-to-face conference or a professional development session and you're the one presenting, starring your presentation file is a good practice. That way you can quickly get to it and you're not just bumbling around looking in folders in front of everybody. You can just go straight to your starred folder and there it is. So let's go back to my file that I had over here. So here's our example doc, and I'm going to open that example doc again. So one way that I can star that folder is by simply coming up here to the top and clicking on the star symbol. Now notice that Google Drive to Google Drive symbol is not there anymore because we have already added it. But then I can click the star button and notice the star turns yellow. Now if I close this and I go back to my drive and then I navigate down this menu to Starred, there it is. So now when I go to access this day after day after day after day to use this with my students, it's right there ready to go in that starred filter for me. So again, this would be another what we call a filter, not really a folder, because if you open this from the starred section and you edit it, it's still going to be the same in any location that you find it. So let's look at another example. So let's say this math lessons folder is going to be a folder I'm going to use often. So maybe I want to open this folder, which I can do, or I can go back and I can just simply right click either with my touchpad or with the right click of my mouse, and I can simply choose add to starred. So now it stays here in my drive, but it's also going over here to the starred area, and then here are my folder, and there's my file that I added that I have quick and easy access to. So, starring in Google Drive is almost like your bookmarks bar across the top of your Google Chrome browser. Okay, so keep that in mind for quick and easy access to files that you need. All right, so those are some quick, down and dirty, quick and easy tips and tricks to think about as we move along in our Google Drive. So thinking about the star tool and all of those different things, remember, add your icon to Drive. That way it will not stay in that shared with me folder, tempting you to go back and try to clean it out. Use folders, subfolders if you have to. Use what works for you in your own organization and filing system. Name your folders, simple and easy. Use symbols, use emojis, use something to help keep you organized and keep it engaging to you so that you'll be able to locate your files quickly and easily as you move forward. Saving files in multiple locations, that's Shift and the letter Z. This is just great for when you're sharing with a group of colleagues and you need this student over here for the special needs resource teachers to see, but then you also need that student's document over here with the rest of your homeroom class for you to keep referring to. Sorting, you can sort by name, when it was modified, by who it was modified, and so on. So that's huge to keep in mind, is sorting your files efficiently. And looking at your viewing options, you have the grid view and you have the list view. So whatever works for you, and switch back and forth, because remember, on the list view, you're going to get a little bit more detailed information as to when things were modified, who created it, how many revisions it has, and so on and so forth as you move forward. And then use that search function. Google is a search engine. Use the search function. Use the file name. Use keywords for the file. Search by who you know created it or who else is collaborating on that file, and be able to narrow your search that way so you can get quick and efficient access to the files you need. Use the star tool. That's just like using the favorites in your browser. Use that star tool for quick and easy access. And then I want to encourage you, if this is something that you enjoyed or any of the other presentations that you have seen during this conference, and you think, oh, I want to learn more, I want my school, my district to learn more, I encourage you to fill out the form, fill out the link where it talks about working with us. Any of us on the Shake Up Learning team would be happy to come and help you with what you have going on in your school, with professional development, consultation, working with your tech coaches, what have you. We're excited to work with you and be able to hopefully make your life as a teacher and educator a little bit more efficient and productive. So I hope that you got some good ideas during this session, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. My contact information is here within the conference material, and I would be happy to discuss and hear your ideas. Be sure and share what you've learned in Twitter discussions, and I'm excited to hear from you and learn what you're getting out of this conference, not only in organization, but all of the other tools and tips and tricks that you're learning throughout. So enjoy the rest of the conference, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.